Greetings, friends. This is Jesse here, and I'm going to be going over some news with you. 15-minute news. I'm going to try to keep this real short and sweet. Uh, Volgograd bombings. Who's behind the terrorist attacks in Russia? Last summer, in a meeting with Vladimir Putin, Prince Bandar bin Sultan directly threatened Russia with terrorist attacks to persuade the Russian president to withhold support from Assad's regime. The Saudi prince and intelligence leader reportedly offered Putin a multi-billion-dollar arms deal as well as guaranteed continued control over Europe's oil supply. So bear in mind, this is a Saudi prince, Saudi Arabia. Russia declined, but leaked Russian and Lebanese reports detailed other alleged incentives from Saudi Arabia. Russia's relationship with Syria gives it a warm water naval base on the Mediterranean, and Bandar promised to safeguard that even if Assad is removed from power. He also issued threats, including threatening the Russian Olympics in 2014. This is what the Saudi Prince Bandar told Putin, quote, I can give you a guarantee to protect the Winter Olympics in the city of Sochi on the Black Sea next year. The Chechen groups that threaten the security of the games are controlled by us. Very important. Last wording there, end quote. This week, more than 30 people were murdered by two consecutive suicide attacks in the southern Russian city of Volgograd, northeast of Sochi, which will host the Winter Games on February 7th through the 23rd, 2014. Earlier this week, right before New Year's, we had Lebanon where rocket fire draws Israeli artillery strike. Out of Reuters, rockets launched from South Lebanon struck northern Israel on Sunday, and Israel responded with artillery shells across a border that has been largely quiet since the war in 2006. The cross-border fire, which caused no injuries on either side, coincided with heightened political tensions in Beirut following the assassination on Friday of a former Lebanese government minister. It was not immediately clear who fired the rockets. Israeli authorities said 5 rockets were launched from Lebanon, but only 1 or 2 struck inside Israel near the border town of Kiryat Shimona. A UN peacekeeping force in Lebanon urging restraint said it was working with the Lebanese army to obtain further details of the attack. South Lebanon is a stronghold of the Iranian-backed Hezbollah, a Shiite Muslim group that battled Israel 7 years ago and is engaged in Syria's civil war in support of President Bashar al-Assad. But Palestinian factions are also in the area. The strike, to which Israel said it responded with a barrage of shelling, came 2 days after a bomb blast in Beirut killed Mohammed Shattah, a former minister and leading advisor to Sunni Muslim former Prime Minister Saad al-Hariri. Hariri has suggested Hezbollah was behind the assassination, drawing parallels with the 2005 explosions, which killed his father Rafiq al-Hariri. Hezbollah condemned Shattah's killing as a horrible crime. So here we see allies of Israel like Saudi Arabia and these types of things, and we're seeing like a lot of tension building up between Russia, Lebanon, Israel, and Syria. Syria bombs Lebanon, targeting Syria rebels. Now, obviously, we know that the Syrian rebels, are not of the Assad regime, but they are Al-Qaeda groups. So you got to bear that in mind when reading these articles. Syrian warplanes bombed on Wednesday a barren range of Lebanon hills used by Syrian rebels and refugees to cross between the two countries, wounding at least 10 Syrians who were rushed to a hospital in a nearby Lebanese town, Beirut state-run national news agency said. Cross-border strikes have been particularly intense this week around the town of Arsai, where thousands of Syrians have fled to escape their country's civil war over the past month. The attack came days after Lebanese force fired on Syrian helicopters near the border, an apparent attempt by Lebanon to signal that it would be forceful in defending its territory. We also have new conditions for nuclear talks include Iranian supervisors. Iranian team to operate in coordination with supervising team measure has been adopted because negotiations didn't move in our interest in first stage. Iran announced Wednesday that they have appointed 2 additional supervisors to better control and coordinate the decision taken by the Iranian team of negotiators during nuclear talks with the 6 world powers. in other words, P5+1, the group P5+1, semi-official Iranian news agencies Fars reported. Quote, given the results obtained in the first stage of the Geneva agreements, a decision was made to add 2 more individuals to the team of officials who supervise the nuclear negotiators to specify each and every detail for the negotiating team. Member of the Parliament's National Security and Foreign Policy Commission Mohammed Asmail Qasari told Fars news agency. Qasari said under the new conditions, the Iranian negotiating team operates through coordination with the supervising team. This measure has been adopted because the negotiations didn't move in our interest much in the first stage. And other interesting developments in the Middle East, Syria crisis, ships return as chemical removal slips. Norwegian and Danish ships waiting to remove Syria's chemical weapons are returning to port in Cyprus, signaling a key deadline will not be met. Bad weather, shifting battle lines, and road closures are being blamed for the delay. The international mission is waiting for Syria's most dangerous chemicals to be transported to the port in Latakia. The deadline is the first milestone of a deal to rid Syria of its chemical weapons arsenal by the middle of 2014. It was brokered by the U.S. and Russia after rockets filled with the nerve agent sarin were fired at 3 towns in the Ghouta agricultural belt around Damascus on the 21st of August, killing hundreds of people. Western powers said only Syrian government forces could have carried out the attack, but President Bashar al-Assad blamed rebel fighters. And again, al-Assad is basically right. It's the rebels that have the chemical weapons, and it's the rebels who are actually controlled are al-Qaeda members that are doing this massive war, the war propaganda that's going on in the Middle East, are like all these groups, Al-Qaeda and these types of things, which are all backed by, bigger powers. So we have to keep that in mind, that this was not Bashar al-Assad's doing with the chemical weapons. So those that are backing the rebels, like the U.S., Obama, and these types of things with the chemical weapons, which has been proven that the rebels carried out these chemical attacks without a shadow of a doubt, are coming out with these news stories that they have a deadline to meet. Well, the thing is these chemical weapons are not going to be removed, okay? And so they are looking for a pretext to go into Syria and to invade Syria, to start a war in Syria. And if that happens, it's gonna get pretty bad. So we have strong tensions going on in the Middle East between Russia, Lebanon, Israel, Palestine now. The Palestinians are drawing heat too, and these types of things. So again, with the Middle East news here that I presented, what we have going on is basically we have war words, plus we have some physicality taking place as far as rockets being fired, exchanged. Nothing to the point of major conflict yet. With 2014, I believe, is going to be a real strong. It's going to be very shocking if we don't escape 2014 without a huge war ensuing. I will be surprised. And also, out of these wars, I'm surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if you really start hearing the push of peace and safety, where the Bible says that when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as a woman travailing in childbirth. So we have to keep that in mind too. Things are escalating at a very, very rapid rate, and it seems like a lot of the media and and stuff like that is very quiet. You got people on YouTube who used to report stuff on this are coming out with these wacky dreams about rapture and these types of things that clearly is not from God. So there seems like it's getting very interesting. So again, regarding the chemical weapons, these deadlines will not be met. As a matter of fact, when you read the propaganda, when you ever hear of these deadlines and stuff like that, especially to rid Syria of the chemical weapons, um, when it and and from August of last year, 2013, and the research from alternative media has been proven without a shadow of a doubt that it was not the Assad regime that fired these chemical weapons into Damascus, but it was the rebels. So it's the rebels that have control of these chemical weapons, possibly shipped in through Benghazi to use that cover up. And and obviously these rebels are U.S. backed, um, Israeli backed, Saudi backed. You know, all the main proponents. And everything is the stage is being set for a very huge war that could end up brewing here in the not so distant future, which will affect us, here in the U.S. as well. So we have to be ready and spiritually prepared for that. In other areas, mystery steam over Fukushima could be a sign of another meltdown. The newest upgrade in the highly disconcerting series of devastating failures that is the Fukushima cleanup effort is troubling to say the least. TEPCO has confirmed that unexplained plumes of steam have been rising from the mangled remains of reactor buildings 3. In other words, there's a chance Fukushima could be in the middle of another meltdown. The thing is, no one has been able to find out the exact cause of the rising mysterious radioactive steam because the combination of physical damage and, more importantly, lethal radiation levels have made investigating the reactor impossible. Mass animal deaths continue as 27 eagles are now dead from a virus in Utah. As of December 31st, tons of crabs, seashells, mussels, and birds wash up dead on beaches in Lima, Peru, and hundreds of fish turn up dead in a dam in Fatima, Brazil. And as of December 30th, we have 50,000 fish that die suddenly in ponds in Haikou, China. So the animal die-offs are still going on. This is another one that has gone quiet in the water as far as no reporting on this. We have a lot of earthquake activity, um, and we have biological hazards in China and some strong ones in Saudi Arabia. There's an explosion here in Minnesota, and we have biological hazards here in Texas and um, out there in Arizona. And Tropical Storm Baija is moving its way north. We also have some volcanic eruptions that has taken place, and the earthquake activity has been pretty significant today. We had two 6.6 earthquakes out in Vanuatu, followed by 4.4 in Russia and 4.5 in Argentina, with a 5.0 in New Zealand. So earthquakes are pretty strong within the last 24 hours. So all the links will be posted below. Truth be told, truth be known, stay safe. God bless. This is some of what's going on in the news today. And stay alert, be safe, and we'll see you next time. God bless. Bye-bye.